Hey, Coach. Good to see you. So looks like this team is playing really unselfish. They're really athletic. What do you like even so far just about what you've seen with the progression on offense? And, what do you think, how do you think the defense is kind of coming along at this point?
I actually think we've gotten better in both areas quite a bit since, going back to the exhibition game against Arkansas. I mean, it doesn't even look like the same group of guys out there. So I think we've gained on it, but I think that we're starting to figure it out, but we're still a work in progress. I still believe that, we're willing passers, and I think we do share it for the most part. I still think that there's a level that we have to get to, primarily with AJ and Rylan, that they're comfortable and can play more to their talent level as opposed to just trying to fit in. And I think that will, that's still going to be a little bit of time away, but we've made some strides, and I think defensively, it may not show up in the next game or whatever, but I think that you can sense that there is a better understanding and us doing a better job on that end, and not allowing people to really do what they want to do from a rhythm standpoint, even though Furman got off a lot of threes and they didn't make a lot. But for the most part, after the first 10 minutes, I thought we defended them pretty well.
First true real game of the season, what challenges does Creighton prevent, and what do you like about their team?
Well, they're good. They got a good team. Obviously, they can stretch it, and they haven't shot it well yet. I think as a group, they're shooting about, I could be off, 31-4, something like that, 33, but it's well below what they're capable of shooting, and they're shooting a ton of them. They're averaging, I think, right around 30, and I'd say shot 40 plus against a Nebraska I know. So if I was going to be critical of us, I would say the ability to take that away. And so you would think that they'll shoot an awful lot against us if we're not great at taking that away. And then Kalkbrenner is the best big guy we've gone against. And even though he hasn't scored the ball like he did early, but, getting 49 in one game on 22 shots is very impressive. And I know they'll try to get him the ball down there. It'll be a good matchup between Hunt and him, as long as, he's able to go. And I don't know what that status is right now because I don't believe he played in the last game, if I'm not mistaken.
Bill, you mentioned AJ. I know it's a small sample size, but since you've moved AJ into the starting lineup, what have you liked? What do you want to see differently?
It is a small sample size. I don't know that there's a lot different. I do think that he made some plays the other night, scoring 2 points that looked pretty good to me. And then he was aggressive and did some things against Duke that were good. But to me, it's you guys make such a big deal out of who starts or whatever. But to me, that's almost irrelevant. Rylan was having a really poor day the day that I decided to start AJ. And there'll be another day where Zeke was having a really poor day when I decided to start Diggy. And you can go back and look at a lot of guys that maybe didn't get a start not because somebody else was doing something so well, maybe that they didn't have a very good day. I remember one day in practice, I decided not to start Marcus and start Markeith. And then he was bad, and I decided not to start Markeith and start Thomas, and he was bad. And then I decided not to stop Thomas and start Matt Kleinman against Tennessee. And Matt got dunked on the very first play, and I took his ass out right there immediately. But that's exactly how it works sometimes with me. So I wouldn't read too much into it.
Coach, you obviously don't know if he's going to play, but how do you prepare your team for a player like Ryan Kalkbrenner who just impacts the game every time he's on the floor?
I think you don't. I think you prepare like he's going to play regardless, which I'm sure he will, and then you try to put our team in certain situations from a coverage standpoint, which they like to do, which you can't simulate his shot blocking. He's a, 3-time Big East Player of the Year? You're not going to simulate that in practice. But just from a technique standpoint, what they like to try to do and how you want to attack that. And then offensively, you can't let him get angles. You can't let him catch and score from short distances where he doesn't have to go through defense. Some teams have done a pretty admirable job guarding him, and some teams have done a really poor job guarding him, as evident by statistically. But he's good. He's good, and he's improved so much over time. And it'll be like two dinosaurs, he and Hunter, going against each other, because they're probably two of the oldest guys in college basketball, and two projected to be All-Americans. So it should be a fun matchup.
Experience of getting to go on the road back-to-back is something you don't come across too often, especially in non-conference here. I guess just how useful do you think this opportunity will be down the road when you get into Big 12 play?
Well, I don't. You guys would know. Gary would know for sure off the top of his head. But I don't know when the last time we went back-to-back in a non-conference road game situation. But I'm not sure that matters either. Our non-conference thus far, we've done fairly well thus far non-conference. But the success of our non-conference will, in large ways, be determined by how we play this week, because how you do away from home is really the true indication on how well you're actually playing. And we've been decent in a couple of neutral site games, the big games, but how we play in Omaha and Columbia will probably, in my mind, determine on what type of true success we had in our non-conference schedule.
Bill, only 7 games, but strength of schedule certainly is high, but your assist to turnover numbers are really good. You got 4 guys that really stand out, 3-to-1 or close to 3-to-1 assist to turnovers.
Yeah, the guys. And what's Diggy? Didn't Diggy? I mean, I know he hadn't had a ton. Yeah, he hadn't had a ton, but that's pretty good. We've done a pretty good job taking care of the ball. The one exception I think was Duke, in that I think we had 18 and they had 18, if I'm something like that. But other than that, we've taken care of the basketball pretty well. I actually like it more if our assist numbers aren't always so high, because when you get a lot of assists, that means you probably got good ball and body movement, but you're scoring off the catch. In order to get to the free throw line, you got to be able to drive it. And sometimes when it gives you a false sense, because you could look at assist the way we play and look at how many free throws we're shooting too. And there would be a big negative is, well, your assists are high, but your free throw percentage is so low. We got to find a happy medium where we're getting to the free throw line more. And in the past, you got to the free throw line by throwing the ball inside. In today's game, more than ever, you get to the free throw line by driving it. And so we got to become better at that. So even though it's really good and I like it, I think I wish that there was a better balance between assist and free throw attempts.
2-to-1 as an entire team.
That's good.
How rare is that?
Well, it won't be 2-to-1 when the season ends.
Have you ever seen a team
Early in the season, probably.
Yeah.
A lot depends on competition, but probably early in the season. But I don't know that I've ever seen it once you get into conference play. So it remains to be seen if we can continue to do it that way. But to be early in the season and play the schedule that we played thus far, I'll take that and go the house.
Coach, how important is it, obviously after that Duke game, you were obviously excited with the players and everything, and, I don't know what you said, but you can maybe kind of imply what you said in terms of having fun with the guys. How important is that to have that when each team's different, each team has big wins? How important is it to have, moments like that with the guys?
I think one thing we do as a coaches, is we worry about the next game way too often. You hear it in the NFL all the time. You can't look back, can't look forward. You just got to look at the next week. I think that's true, without question. But I think in my career, I have probably spent too much time worrying about the next game as opposed to actually enjoying the moment. And so whenever you get a chance to have a big win, you should enjoy it. Everybody in America should enjoy it. Because big wins like that don't come around every game. You don't get opportunities to play games like that all the time. So I think those times are important. And I think the older I get, the more I realize I probably missed out on some fun times by worrying about the next one. And I'm not saying that takes away from the next one. I'm not saying that at all. But there should be a point in time where you should enjoy that with your players, because that's why you work so hard, is to have moments like that. So take advantage of that.
Any update on Shaq?
No update on Shaq. He's seen the doctors. He's not 100%. He may not even be 85%. He may not be that 100% all year long. I mean, he had surgery, and so there's going to be some discomfort and all that stuff when you have surgery. It's not at the point now where he feels like he can contribute, which to me is disappointing. Not that he's not out there, but the fact after this much time he doesn't feel like he can really go on it. But I also think that we'll get him back out there, but it's just it's going to take at least a month longer than what we anticipated it
Do you ever redshirt medical?
I don't think so, because I can't say positively because I don't know how he's going to respond a month from now. But we didn't recruit him here to play next year. We recruited him to play this year.
Are you surprised or shocked they didn't send you to play UConn this year in the challenge, and they sent you to Creighton?
No, but if you go back and look at it, didn't we host Creighton here a few years ago, and in the same challenge? Yes, sir. And Marcus made 2 or 3 instead of 3 or 3. That would have sent it to overtime. Isn't that right? At the very end of the game, so we were fortunate to win that game in front of 1,500 people. And 900 were probably Creighton fans, if I remember right. So I actually, disappointing that we didn't get a chance to really play Creighton at home in a true home game. Also lucky that we won it. But I kind of figured that's where the return game would go. But I didn't have any say-so on that. I don't. Who is Connecticut hosting this year? You asked the question and didn't know the answer to the question.
Last year's marquee matchup.
Yeah.
They would want.
Baylor. And Baylor's a preseason top 5 or 6 team for sure. So I can certainly understand that. But
Creighton guards could just give us a soundbite on what they have.
well, they Ashworth's the goodest shooters we have in the country. And what's he shooting, about 40 this year so far? He's already taken. I could be wrong. What's he taken? 59 in 7 games for him because he didn't play in 1. So he's averaging 9 threes a game. That's a lot of 3 attempts. So he's going to get threes off, and he'll get some uncontested, and we hope he doesn't hit a good percentage of those. But the biggest thing is we got to be there on the catch on him, and obviously Neal and Isaacs are. We know Pop well from Texas Tech, and Neal to me is a long, lean, athletic guard that can get downhill and get to the rim, and plus can shoot the basketball. So their 3 guards are very good, and they're going to play a true 3-guard lineup where the majority of the teams we played so far this year played 2-guard lineups. So it'll be a little bit different for us, but they're all capable, and they're all capable of having big nights. And we know that firsthand because of what Pop's done to us in the past.
Coach, can you touch a little bit more on the strength of schedule? North Carolina, Duke, Creighton, and Mizzou coming up. How well is that going to prepare this group when Big 12 play rolls around?
I actually think it's a good schedule. And I don't think we've gotten credit for how good a schedule it is yet because North Carolina's lost a couple of games. Michigan State's lost 2 games. You got Furman was undefeated, obviously, and that's going to end up being a quad 2 win before it's all said and done. The other ones are going to be quad 1 wins. This game is a quad 1 game for us. At Missouri, it'll be a quad 1 game for us. NC State could be easily a quad 1 game for us. So from a non-conference standpoint, I think it's a great schedule. I also don't think the schedule has played out to be as effective as it is going to look later on the season. Because later on the season, you're going to have so you guys won against Duke, Carolina, Michigan State, and you got 3 big opportunities still in front of you to add to that. So I think it'll be looked at very favorably.
Hunter, did you enjoy your Thanksgiving, and do you have any favorite dishes or desserts that you really look forward to?
Yes, Thanksgiving was really good. We were able to spend it as a team together, had a nice meal. I think my favorite dish was always mac and cheese, but recently found out that I'm lactose intolerant, so it's been hard on me. It's been real hard. Trying to cut out cheese, it's like, I feel like everything is dairy nowadays, so it's like kind of more of a slow process. I did have mac and cheese though, for sure. I'd say mac and cheese and collard greens. Those are like my 2. I'm a big sides guy, so.
First road game of the year. Do you welcome these games in these environments, and maybe what do you look forward to most?
Yeah, no, I'm super excited for the road games because I feel like, it's super easy to play in Allen Fieldhouse when you got, the fans that we have and just the environment. And I feel like, it's easy to kind of get distracted and kind of get a false sense of reality on how good teams are. But when you go into opposing teams' arenas, they usually play their best basketball, and that's a good sign to show how good a team really is being a team on the road when they're playing their best. That kind of shows you how good you are as a team. And obviously Creighton's a really good team. They went to Vegas and had a little bit up and down, but they are a preseason top 25 team, so they're obviously really good and have really good head coach and Coach McDermott. So it'll be a good test for us.
Hunter, obviously, as a transfer last year, you had a little bit of adjustment period, kind of learning under Bill Self, and there's a lot of guys like that on this team. What's been the biggest adjustment for you from Michigan, and is there kind of an advice you give to these guys as they come on the team?
I would say it's not difficult to play under Coach Self. I'd say it's just something that you got to get used to, where it's it can be hard at first just because you're not used to his coaching style. A lot of people and stuff like that, but once he believes in you and once he has that trust in you, I feel like it's super fun and enjoyable to play under. And I think that's what a lot of guys were struggling with at first, was kind of just figuring out what he wants and especially offensively, kind of figuring out what he wants. What's a good shot, what's a bad shot, what is he like, how does he want possessions to start and stuff like that. And I think that's probably what guys were struggling with. I think this year for me, just adjusting to the new team and kind of new, not personalities, because obviously everybody has a new personality, but I think just new games and stuff like that. Guys are, especially the transfers, are used to playing a certain way, and you kind of got to get used to them playing that way because that's who they are, and that's what makes them special. And I think, now that we're kind of taking form and taking shape, guys are starting to get comfortable in their own self, and I think, it's kind of the reason why we're doing so good is guys are really getting comfortable and starting to, play their game and show why we wanted them so badly.
I think you guys had a really good defensive night against Furman. Is there kind of an expectation on the defensive end for certain roles and for you specifically too?
Yeah, I think, you look at it offensively, just the amount of guys we have and that we brought in. You bring in a guy like AJ Storr who averaged, I think 18 points a game in Wisconsin, and that's for Wisconsin basketball, that's a lot. That's pretty hard to get 18 points at Wisconsin. And then just because of their system and how it's very, we're going to run plays and really share the ball, so it's hard. Zeke Mayo averaged, I think, 20. Diggy averaged 20. Ryland was a double-digit scorer for a Final Four team. So we definitely have the offensive talent. That's not even including any of the guys we brought back. And so I think defensively was always kind of a focal point for us. And I think Coach Self was really kind of emphasized that and says, and I think that's kind of what Coach Self always lays his head on anyways, is kind of defense and being the more physical team, being the tougher team, and especially defensively. And I think we're trying to adapt that mindset as a team.
What has it been like for you watching Flory recently, especially the last 10 minutes in Vegas after you got ejected?
Yeah, I was able to get a good glimpse of him for the last 10 minutes in that Duke game. He's been really good, really fun to play with, really fun to kind of just be around. I think his personality is, just really exuberant. Hopefully I use that word right. I think that's, and just he's just a great person to be around with his personality. And, he's been growing at such a rapid pace because he's got so much potential. And I feel like it was really a lot of untapped potential. And when he got to Kansas, he started picking up on terminology, on, different skill sets and stuff like that. And you can just see how much he's grown in the past, couple months that he's been here. And I always say, his best basketball is always going to be ahead and in the future because he's just going to keep getting so much better. And I think, the reason for that is he's such a willing learner and so eager to learn that, he's gonna be really good one day. Well, he is really good now, but even better.
And then I don't know if he's going to play or not, but what would you think of getting the chance to go up against Ryan Kalkbrenner?
Yeah, super excited to hopefully be able to go against him. I know he was dealing with some lower back, I think, in Vegas, and that's probably because playing so many games in a row, it can definitely be wear and tear, especially on a 7-foot body. I can speak for that for sure. But it would be a great matchup. Obviously, he's probably me and him are probably some of the best bigs in the country. I feel like consensus. And so that'd be a fun matchup. That's kind of why you play the game, and that's why you go to a conference like the Big 12 to play against the best bigs. And, fortunately, we're playing against, another conference that has one of the best bigs in the country. They did run a lot of good stuff for him, get him in a lot of good positions, and he's the 3-time Big East Defensive Player of the Year, so that'd be a good matchup for me and the rest of the team.
Were you able to say anything to Flory before you hit the locker room?
Yeah, I didn't know I had to leave right away, but I was able to stay on the bench and talk to him for a little bit before I had to exit.
Do you think it was a fair flagrant 2 in looking back at all the replays?
I think the thing that probably got it a flagrant 2 was the slow-mo. I feel like if you watched it in real time and just at normal speed, I feel like it was a flagrant 1. I feel like a flagrant 2 needs to be a little bit more malicious intent for that to occur. But I put myself in that position and the refs made the call. So you gotta, if you're gonna put yourself in that position, you can't really be too picky and choosy with it.